Hi, everyone. Welcome to Talks with T with your host, Teona. It's been Teona Zach. You know, I know Kezia's going to yell at me for not saying the full name. But this has been long overdue. And I am so excited to finally be back here and doing my podcast. A lot has happened and there's a lot of updates and I'm really excited. So I guess let's play catch up for a little bit because it's been a hot minute and there's a lot of tea to spill. So I just want to start off. I did not quit my podcast. A lot of people were concerned about that. I didn't quit. I just took a little break with the holidays and there's other things. I mean, first and foremost, before anything, I am a singer. I'm a musician. That is why I came to LA. And so a lot's been happening. I had my first show in November. And then after that, we've just been working. Me and Carson have been working on an EP that we're excited about. He looks so happy right now. It's been like took a long time. But let me tell you, patience is a virtue, my friends. And creativity is a craft that just takes time. But with that, and then the holidays, obviously, and that I had my first holiday in LA, so that was fun. A little update, you know, because I feel like a lot of people watched one podcast where I basically said that I had melanoma and it scared a few people. So update on that. I've had a couple of surgeries happening as well. That's been good. All is good. Just had my last surgery, and then as of right now, everything is fine. But that's another reason I had to like kind of push back. And then my birthday happened January 3rd. And that was honestly that was my first birthday actually being in Los Angeles. And also just like, I had a lot of friends, I want to say a lot, but I had some friends that are from Boston that moved out here too, that it was like interesting because I was in LA for that. I never get to celebrate my birthday in Boston. Like it was always in New York. This is the first birthday that I celebrated here and it was exciting. And, you know, with the new year, I just let's just get right into it. Like a lot's happened. A lot's happened in 2024 and now we're in 2025. So what better way to start it than talking about what I've learned, what I hopes, my dreams, all of that. So 2024 was a hard year for me. It was definitely one of the most challenging years. I think I am also 24, so definitely have a lot of years going for me. So I don't want to sit here and say that it's like the worst year of my life, but it was definitely a challenging year. A lot happened, both with like relationship, friendships, health, personal things, and just mental. And I feel like one of the things that going into 2025, I feel now is like, I keep saying that this year is going to be the year of fruition. I speak it out. I believe it. And you know what, Carson, in a year from now, we're going to look back at this podcast and we're going to see if I'm right. But I really believe that this year is the year of fruition. I feel like God doesn't do anything without a purpose. And I just felt like there was so many challenging things that honestly built me. Like I look back and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's why you did that. And sometimes some things I don't know why you did it. But I feel like there was always something being taught to me. As much as there was challenges, there was also so many things that were coming together. And like now that I look at 2025 and it's only been a month, I'm like, I really believe there's going to be alignment in this year. And if that's something that kind of is going to inspire this Talks with T, because like I said, first and foremost, I'm a musician, I'm a singer, and I love what I do. It's a dream. It's been a dream that I've had since I was 8 years old. I always knew I wanted to be in the entertainment industry. I wanted to be an actress when I first was like a kid, like we're talking like born, but then I fell in love with music. And you know, now that we're going into this year, like, again, I've had a couple of shows coming up as well, but also just in another show. And I'm, you know, working on music, releasing music, working on my brand and all these things. And I still feel like it's so easy to get caught up at the idea of like, but I like the destination. Like not the journey. Like, I want to be there. That's what I want to be. And it's so easy for people to like have a comment. Like, I'm sure, you know, there's always going to be this like voice in your head that you're not doing enough, or you need to be somewhere at this point of your life. And I really just kept saying to myself that one thing that I saw from 2024 to 2025 is a lot of things were actually making sense and coming together that I was like, oh. And that comes to like play is like, God wouldn't give you a dream in your heart if there was no purpose to fulfill it. Like, there would never be that dream in your heart if there was no intent for God to actually make it come into fruition. It might not be the way you think you want it. It might not be the time that you want it, but it's going to happen in the way God wants it. And I really had to learn that, because I feel like some of the things that I've seen happening now, I'm like, holy crap, like I've been waiting for these things and you're finally doing it, and it makes sense. So when I first, you know, I for those who haven't watched or who don't know me, like I talk a lot about when I first moved out to LA, I was waitressing and I also was doing this internship, whatever. And I met my current best friend, boss, and manager, shout out Kezia Riley, just because I was waitressing and I didn't even want to take her table. Like, I'll never forget that night. I was waitressing, literally table 40, shout out to La Betla. And I remembered, and this was like the first month that I was in LA, and didn't think anything of it. I was like, fine, I'll take it, whatever. Finally take it. And it was like a group of girls that I just love so much. Still talk to them now. And they were just, we had a great time. And then from there, Kezia obviously found out that I went to Berkeley and was like, oh, like I can, like I can't, literally said, I can't make you famous, but I could give you like a big girl job in the music business. And I was like, let's do it. And from there, like, now I work for an international artist. But from there it stemmed, like working with Kezia, I started to see how she worked and how not only intelligent she was, but just how kind-hearted she was in what she does. And I kept saying, like, to Carson, I was like, I really believe she's going to be my manager. Like, I literally was like, I really think there's more. I think there's more. And we got along. And flash forward, we became not only the best of friends, but she ended up being my manager. And I look back and I'm like, you know, at that period where I wasn't where I was, like I wasn't booking shows. I wasn't, you know, I couldn't sing either because I had a vocal injury. And if it wasn't for that vocal injury, I wouldn't have this podcast. And I want to shout out to Carson because he always believes in me and always pushes me, and is also one of the biggest tributes into why I am where I am now and who I am. And so now we're looking into that being aligned and all these people that are in my life now that weren't. And I look at it and I'm like, I truly think that God's timing is everything. And you just have to trust it because it's not always going to look the way you want it. And so now we go into this, and even like conversations, talks, like I've always wanted to do this for my life. And everyone like that sees it is probably like seeing it from oh, she's living her, there's a lot of grind that goes into it. So I just want to make sure that when you do have those moments that I did where it was like, why am I not there yet? Just trust that like it's going to be done. It's going to be done in the right time. Because I even like said back then, if you asked me if I wanted to go to LA, did not want to be in LA. That was not my intention. I wanted to go to London. But it wasn't until I got to LA that I realized this is why you have me here. This is why I needed to come here. Even though I didn't want it, there was so much that came from it. And I always say, like, you just got to follow and be patient and keep grinding and keep doing the things that you know that you're meant to do. Because another thing that I realized is like, not to get like super religious, but I always talk about like God's calling. And I am a Christian. And so I always talk about God's calling because that really did play a role in where I am now. And a lot of people are like, how do you know? How do you know? And it came to a thing where I realized like, first, it's that desire. It's what's in your heart. 2 is the opportunity. I lied. 2 is the ability. Is like, can you actually do what it is that you want to do? So like, yeah, like I could sing. So I was like, this is what I want. And then it's the opportunity. And I was like, I just had to trust that like every opportunity that came is only aligning me more and more and more. And it's not the way I see it, but it was coming together. And it just like, another thing I realized is like anything from God is going to be a slow burn. Anything from God, because anything that's supposed to be for you is going to build you into the person you are, and it's going to really mold your character. It's going to mold who you are. So all those things, as there are still things that I'm like, why did you do that? But there are certain things I'm like, oh my God, you did that for that reason. Like the vocal injury, I'm still growing from it. Like if you ask me right now, a lot of people came out and to one of the shows, and they were like the first show and then like the one I just did, and there was a tremendous growth in like performance, and everyone's like, oh my God, you like, do you get nervous to perform? And I was like, hell no. Do I get no. I love performing. It is literally like it feels so natural to me. It's never felt like scary. But if you ask me what gets me scared, it's always been the actual singing. Why? Because I care about it. It's like my passion, and I want it to be great. And I learned another thing from my vocal injury was I had to learn how to be confident again in my voice. Because when that, just like an athlete, whatever, when that's taken away from you, you kind of second guess yourself. And I had to learn, again, that confidence. And I was seeing things that I didn't even know I could do. And I had to learn, and from that, I'm still learning, but it's a different way of like mastering my craft. And, you know, again, there was things that allowed me to be built, that was built for me because of those trials. And even like, for example, bringing the melanoma into this conversation, a lot of people are like, oh my God, like, are you okay? And like, it honestly, like, it's frustrating, but I always do say like it could be worse. And it also changed my perspective on life in some ways too, because no one wants to get the call like, oh, you have melanoma. Like, thanks. And I think from that, it changed my perspective of like how I wanted to view life and saw life, and how I viewed what I wanted. Like, life is like, I'm going to sound like freaking like Buddha over here, but like it started to see like the things that we worry about, like it didn't matter. Like, and I still struggle with it because I'm human. Like I still struggle with insecurities. I still struggle with things that I, you know, think about. I think your mind will forever be the biggest enemy for you. Like it's always going to be the biggest enemy, because it's the one thing that you have to sit there with forever. But from that one trial, like I also realized who was there for me. I realized who, you know, I counted on during that time. Like, and I also realized like, aside, like what it is that like, thank gratitude for what could have been, you know. And going into 2025 now, I really was just like, I want this year to be the year that aligns, and I believe it will, but I don't want to hold back in anything I do. And so if you're watching this, let 2025 be that year for you too. Like let 2025 be the year that you take those risks. You do the things that make you happy. Like I'm not saying to go out and buy a Bugatti and like be in debt, but I'm saying like, do the things that genuinely scare you, but you want to do. Because I promise you, if it's God's calling, it's going to come, and it's going to take time. Like a lot of people want to look at the final thing, like Adele, blah, blah, blah. Adele was a nobody at one point too. You know, like Amazon, look at how they looked before. You know how Jeff Bezos looked when he was a nobody? Look at him now. Money bought him that. But listen, he had to get that money somehow. And I look at just everything, like everything has to start from somewhere. And we're getting religious with it. Like the best example is like Joseph in the Bible. You had all these like Joseph, David, like all these people like started from nothing. It was just following God's calling and doing what they could do and letting God, like it's let go and let God. Literally just let go and let God. Do what you can, and everything else will fall into place. And it's definitely hard for people who, like, for me, my whole life, I've always been very faith driven and very like risk taking. And I understand there's people like my brother who's just very like scientific and like realistic thinking. And I was like, but that's the thing about life. It's like calling over comfort. And so if you're going to choose comfort, like then you're the one that has to be okay with that feeling that you sit at the end of the day that you're not where you want to be. Because that's, life goes by. That's another thing is like, I look back and I'm like, life, I'm only 24. But so much has happened. I feel like I've lived 6 lives already. And 2024 itself felt like 6 years in one. And I just kept thinking like, I'm not the person I was 6 months ago. And that's the beauty is like, you're constantly changing and you're not where you were and you're not where you are. It's not where you want to be yet. But you know what? Like, look, you keep looking back and like, make sure you reflect, because I'm telling you, you're going to have like a Jesus come moment. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot, like there's upcoming like shows coming up. So if you are watching this, definitely follow me on all social platforms, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Teona Zach, same thing. And I also wanted to say that I have been working with Carson on covers. And so that will be on my YouTube, personal YouTube, Teona Zach, and also on the Mood Mixer page. And that's another thing that I wanted to just let you guys know is like podcasts are still here and T-Money can always talk. But I wanted to also be able to now share what I did come to LA and what is in my dreams. And I wanted to, be able to give you weekly covers, and also do a podcast. It's just not going to be every week and keeps you guys wanting more and being expectant with the tea. But I'm really excited and I just urge, definitely, like I said, life is short. And if you're going to do it, you might as well do it. Like, just do it. Just literally, my mom one time said it, just do it. And it's true. So I'm really happy to be back. Trust that what's meant for you is going to come for you in its time. Everything is a slow burn in God's calling because it's just going to build you. It's going to mold you into who you are. So thank you. I'm trying to think if I have any crazy. My mom came to visit me recently. That was crazy. It was her first time in LA and I took her to the clubs. That was fun. It was interesting watching her go clubbing. She's definitely like, she can't have more than like 1 drink, maybe 2. We also had a Russian night. I'm half Russian and half Georgian, if you don't know that. And listen, guys, I just want y'all to know, Russian and Georgian food are not easy to make. It's not like I'm not hating on I eat pasta, a lot of pasta, but it's not like 2 seconds. And like, especially like if you make your own sauce, that don't take 2 seconds either. So like Russian food and Georgian food don't take like 20 minutes. It takes like an hour, maybe more. And so sometimes I just don't want to do it. And when my mom came here, I was like, I need you to make all the food. I took that for granted. Like if there's one thing I miss from the East Coast, it's literally that babushka would be making me Russian food, Georgian food, and it would just be there. I miss it. So my mom made котлеты, сырники, блинчики, fasol, which is my favorite. We had some more things, potatoes, but kartoshka, if you're Russian and watching this. So it was so good. And then I ended up getting up and sleeping with my friend's dog on the couch because I was in food coma and everyone was babysitting my mom after that for me because I wanted to nap. It was a long, long week. Yes. So I'm trying to think. I turned 24. That feels good. I think it's going to be a great year. So stay tuned for the next Talks with T. I just wanted to catch you guys up. Make sure to go and watch some covers. I'm sure when this comes out, there will probably be like 2 or 3 already out. So go check them out on Mood Mixer podcast, and also Teona Zach. So thank you guys so much. That is all.